I'm MTS Poppet.
And I'm Molly Caron, and we at Access TV have a wonderful cluster of stories to tell this hour.
As we vote, Kanahus Salon will be talking to Indigenous women candidates in this election.
And MTS Poppet, you've brought in the director of the Vancouver Asian Film Festival, Grace Chin, and a couple of filmmakers.
And we'll be talking about lacrosse, Canada's national sport.
Also known as Boogatway, the creator's game. Then we're going to have Sherry Dougal in conversation with Mandana Rastan, and they will speak about intuition.
And we're going to be talking about St. James Hall as well.
A vital venue in our community, and it needs to be defended as it is under threat from condos. All that, and we begin with the Appliance Break on Access TV.
Come home to a sink full of dishes? Well, I've got 2 good reasons to run the tap. Please stay tuned.
St. James Community Square was a church on West 10th in Vancouver, and then 20 years ago it was taken over by a nonprofit, and it has now become an extraordinary home to many community groups and events. However, it is in danger of being torn down and replaced with condos. LJ Meyer takes a closer look.
21 years ago, this wonderful church was in danger of being taken down. So we stepped in, some of us in the community, and asked if we could run it as a community space. And we were able to do that. And our first goal has always been to make this place affordable, welcoming, and we wanted it to be run by the people who use it.
Ralph Shaw and the Vancouver Ukulele Circle has been here at St. James Hall having their circle, or what we like to call Rogalele. Everybody has a fabulous time.
You cannot find venues where you can have 150, 200 plus, that many people in a room all playing ukuleles together. You cannot do that in most places.
We often have the artists comment about how fantastic the acoustics are in the hall.
It's a large yet intimate venue. It's central enough that people come from White Rock, they come from East Vancouver, Delta. I really hope we can save this place and keep it going the way it is.
The Rogue Folk Club is one of our anchor tenants, and we're just so pleased to have them.
And we've been doing 50 shows a year, plus 10 dances and 12 ukulele nights for the last couple of years as well. So 70-something shows a year. I don't think any community centre has got a venue that's viable. I mean, this isn't a gymnasium, it's an auditorium. It's adaptable into a dance format or cabaret style. Where else can you find those beautiful arches?
The Vancouver Youth Symphony has been here longer than we've been here. And they are the training ground for young people to become good musicians, and indeed many of them actually end up performing for the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. And they have rehearsals here, concerts here, and you come on a Saturday morning and the sound of all those instruments by these young people is just so wonderful to hear. And when there's a dance, we just move everything out and the joint just gets hopping.
We danced here after having danced in several halls that didn't work for us.
We've danced for the last 25 years at many halls in Vancouver, and this hall has just what we need, so we're very happy to have it.
St. James has a real sense of history about it. When you walk in, you just go, this is fabulous. We love the wooden floor. You know, in the city with everything so modern and concrete, it's really refreshing to have a beautiful place like this to dance.
The ambiance is good, the sound is good, the feeling in the hall is good.
We would definitely have problems finding another hall that would that we could afford.
I don't know if we'd be able to continue. Not only do we dance here, but we store our sound equipment here. We can't do that in other places. You should come here and dance, because then you will be alive. Okay.
What's life without children? Children are so much a part of St. James Community Square. We have a lot of programs that are tailored to kids in the neighborhood and indeed in the city and the whole region. We've got Phoenix Gymnastics, which has been here since the day we opened, and they provide just a wide range of gym activities. And when you come in the building, you're going to hear so many laughing, screaming, happy children jumping, and it's just a wonderful thing.
Always busy. It's difficult to get into classes. I think that it would be difficult to replace.
We really need this location. I would hate for anything to happen to it. We do have another location, but it is jam-packed there. We have in both locations up to 1,200 children on our waiting list. If we didn't have this space, the 400 children plus that come here, we would have nowhere for them to go.
We also provide something that the city desperately needs. We have a daycare and we have a Japanese preschool. And those two things provide spaces that are just in such demand in the city, and we're happy that we can, be part of providing that. We host Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Al-Anon, sexually abused survivors, single mom support groups. If people feel a need to have a place where they can come and talk and help each other and support each other, we want to support them. And in some cases, we provide the space for free if a group can't afford it. And we make a point of making it a very safe space, so they don't have to come by your front desk. They come in their own door. They have their own key. They have the sense of anonymity that their name implies. But unfortunately, this wonderful community space is now under threat. The United Church, which owns the building, is moving on, and they've offered us the first right of refusal to purchase it, and we're in the midst of negotiations. But as you can imagine, a place like this is incredibly expensive. We're going to need help from the community, from the users, from hopefully some philanthropists, and we really need help from the city. We're trying to imagine if the city wanted to recreate what we already have at St. James. They'd have to go out and buy a lot. They'd have to create a building of this magnitude. They'd have to hire staff and pay them. They'd have to do constant renovations and constant servicing charges. And you know what? We do all those things. For the city to step in and help us, it would be the biggest bargain in history for them to help us purchase it, and we take care of all the costs after that.
We'll keep you updated on what's happening with St. James Square. And now over to Chris Hilliker with the Appliance Break.
Most modern dishwashers run with the heater on to heat the water to a certain temperature. So if we fill the machine with cold water, it's going to consume more energy and take a longer time to do the wash. So before you start the dishwasher, run the hot tap at the nearest kitchen sink until the water comes out hot. Then start the machine.
Lacrosse was started by the North American Indians, and it was originally known as Bagatoué, the creator's game. The game was initially played in the St. Lawrence Valley and around the Great Lakes by the Algonquin tribe. It eventually made its way out to Vancouver in the 1930s. Raybould Hardnett is in studio with Sakani, an accomplished and very successful young player, and his coach and father, Kwakwi. Let's hear what they have to say.
I'm Raybould Hardnett with Access TV, and I'm glad that you're with us today. And I have some guests that I want to interview today. I have with me Kwani and Sakani.
Sakani, yeah.
And we was going to have your brother here, but he's not here with us. But we're going to talk about what you guys have been doing. You are quite the stars in the world of lacrosse.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to know about that. Both of you are right-handed forwards for the Squamish Nation of North Shore Indian lacrosse team.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you specifically is at the top 5 intermediate A midget league. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
And you were Team BC All-Star for 2010
Yeah.
and 2015.
Yeah.
And you're a favorite to go first overall in the junior A. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the draft, yeah.
Oh, man. That's quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about that.
I don't know. It's a lot of people ask me, like, how does that make you feel? And I don't know. It's just, it feels good, obviously, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it took a lot of hard
Yeah.
work to get there, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I'm sure that hard work actually starts right over to your right. Is that not correct?
Yeah, a lot of times going out to the box, practicing.
Yeah.
And then
So you've been coaching these guys, right?
Yeah, I've been coaching them off and on throughout their careers. I started with them in their minor league levels, and then
Right.
I kind of taught them my brand and my philosophy behind the game. And I honestly gotta say, it's become to fruition now by watching them play as young men and being the best.
Right.
And,
Well, there's a lot of family history in this,
yeah,
right?
there's a lot
Let's
of
talk about
families,
that.
Sure.
Right. Your great grandfather, let's see, and your uncle.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way back there, because I think it's good to know where the roots began and how we end up with today.
Well, it all started back in the 1930s, where the North Shore Indians was formed here, along with the Vancouver firefighters and the New Westminster policemen, and they used to play at the Peony Gardens. But back then, they used to recruit players from the Six Nations and the Iroquois Confederacy leagues. And since then, that tradition has kept going for the last 4 generations. So we always swap players.
Right.
So my grandfather coached the team. My dad coached the team. My uncle Wayne Baker was a big influence in my career as a mentor and as a coach himself, and that's kind of just slowly transcended down to my boys in the same kind of tradition and philosophy. We kept it going, and we're trying to keep it going again for their generation and people below them as well.
One of the things I found interesting was your grandfather, Dan Baker. That's correct, right? And I sort of laughed when I saw that. He ran the North Shore Indian lacrosse team, but he never played that much. In fact, he was always fishing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of funny.
Same with this guy. He's always fishing.
Was that right?
Yeah, I fish.
Well, you know, it fell off the old tree, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, if he was always fishing, how did he know the sport?
Well, he played a lot in his youth as well.
I see.
But to keep a lacrosse team going, it takes a lot of work financially and just emotionally and spiritually, a big commitment.
Right.
And we used to fund our team to the Capelon RV Park in the North Shore there, which you can see off the bridge there. We've done that. We've ran that as a family business for a few generations, and that was a big driving force behind our team's success, and of course my grandfather's commitment.
Right.
And my father did the same thing, and now it's kind of my turn, so we're working on trying to bring it back.
Now you started in this, you told me when you were at the age of 3, is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, when you say you started, were you actually aware that you were playing lacrosse, or you were just doing something?
I just had a stick in my hand watching my older brother, because he's 3 years older than me, right? So I'd be at his games and practices with a stick in my hand, just trying to copy him.
I see.
And then when I grow up more, I just realized what the game actually meant now, and then started taking it more serious, right?
So have you consistently been playing since 3?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I took 1 year off, and that was just because of soccer, because I was a part of the Whitecaps residency. Just that 1 year, so I couldn't sign a contract. Actually, I couldn't play any other sport. That was just for soccer, right? So.
Wow, so that's 13 years in the game.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So it obviously paid off, because you guys recently competed under 19 World Indoor Lacrosse Challenges.
Yeah.
for the Squamish Nation North Shore Indian Lacrosse franchise.
Yeah.
And you actually did very well in that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did pretty good. We did better than we thought, actually. So.
Excellent.
Had a lot of
Excellent.
fun.
So for you, was family history an influence for you to get into the game?
Just, I don't know, I got big names from my grandpa, and just owning the franchise of North Shore Indians is just, and just having it in my blood, I just feel like it's right to play the game. I don't know, it's just
right.
It's like a feeling. I don't know. I can't explain it that much, but it's just, I just feel good playing lacrosse. It's, I don't know.
So it's just a part of you.
Yeah, it's a part of me, I guess. Yeah.
So Dad, how much did you play in that role of making it a part of him?
Well, I like to take all the success for that, all the credit.
Okay.
But you know, it's in our blood. I think it's in our blood, and it shows in his style of play. And I teach him all the tricks that I know when I played all the way up to the pros. And so there's a lot.
Now, did your dad do that?
He taught me a little, but he taught me more about the business aspect of it, and how to manage a team and how much it takes. And our family's got a secret recipe on how to win championships, and no one's been able to duplicate that or actually succeed in that.
So now, you want to tell me the family secret? No, we don't want to say it today.
I can tell you one thing about it.
Okay, good. Let's hear it.
Commitment.
Commitment.
It takes a big commitment to do it.
Okay.
And the rest of it, I just can't tell you.
Well, you know what? That's interesting you say that, because commitment, as we know, is the foundation of many things. But if you look back when this began, and you look back with all of the trials and tribulations that the community was going through, that must have been hard to have a commitment into sports with all the other things that were being dealt with. How, if you know this answer, how did your father translate to keep that going and to make that a part of you with all of the other things that the community had to deal with?
Well, he did it too with a lot of commitment and sacrifice. I mean, it costed a lot of money, but also it's not about the money. It's about community awareness, about identity, and it's about a philosophy. It brings up integrity for a lot of young youth. It gives them something to drive towards and something they want to be. Like when I was coaching, when I was playing as a young man, my dad used to always say, you know what, you could be a drunk for the rest of your life if you want to, but it's not every day you get to be a hero.
Excellent.
And kids come there, and people come there to watch you be a hero and fight for them.
Yes.
In a game. They give us our identity and our voice through it. So, you know, that kind of sunk really hard into me as a young player, and I thought, you know, I want to bring those same values and those same commitments to my young sons here, and
well, that's very
get them
good.
to do it, right? So
I'm gonna use that because I work with a lot of youth. I'm gonna
quote
use
me,
that.
Better quote me on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna quote you on that. So real quickly, back in 1883, a touring team from Canada and a team made up of Iroquois natives visit Scotland. During this tour, promotional literature was distributed to the spectators, pointing out the benefits of the immigration to Canada. Now, not so much Canada, but when you go out, do you feel like you representing your people and you feel a responsibility?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I have just a lot of little kids know my name, right? So just throughout all of my associations I've played with, and they come to my games, right? So I don't want to be that kid who's getting too aggressive and trying to fight, I just want to play my game and have respect, because it's a respectful game, I think.
Excellent,
So,
excellent. Well, that's good to know. I've had a very good time interviewing you guys. There's so much that we can get into and talking about it. I'm happy to know that this sport is just blowing up. I know we talked about how it's blowing up in New York, becoming like one of the #1 games. So we may just come back and visit. We'll be keeping our eye on you. You got that, right?
Yeah.
I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, I'm Raybould Hartnett with Access TV, and we hope you enjoy and learn something about the sport of lacrosse. Thank you.
And now we go to Kanahus O'Sullivan as she talks to 3 Indigenous women candidates as we vote in this federal election.
Welcome to Access Television. I'm Kanarji O'Sullivan. Today we have Carleen Thomas in the studio with us. She is the North Vancouver candidate and the project manager for Sacred Trust, the Sacred Trust Initiative. She is from the Tv Oct, and we're very pleased to have you here with us.
Thanks, Kanarji.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you. You're a First Nations candidate. We're very proud that you have stepped up to the challenge to represent the people.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been very interesting.
I bet. Well, you know, we have a few questions for you regarding your candidacy. And the first question, of course, is what is your stance on Aboriginal issues?
Aboriginal issues is obviously very important to me, being a First Nations woman. So it's important that we have what I'd like to see happen is the relationship between First Nations people of Canada and the federal government come to that more nation-to-nation relationship. And I think that's the most important issue, besides the missing and murdered Indigenous women inquiry and housing and education and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of issues here in Canada as First Nations people. So many that we can barely count them on our own hands. What about housing, fishing, and hunting rights? I mean, we're living in the urban city here, but you're representing North Van.
Right. So the Indigenous, the First Nations communities in the North Van riding, we're covered under the Constitution, so we have those rights already protected. The Tsleil-Waututh Nation in particular, because I can't speak for the Squamish Nation, have a pretty good relationship with various departments of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. We are doing housing projects with CMHC. Education, well, education, like most First Nations across the country, it's a really contentious issue. There's not a whole lot of funding, and I think the important thing is to take a look at those types of policies and regulations and work with communities to make it better for our future upcoming leaders and professionals, and yeah.
Well, we're dealing with housing on and off the reserve in our case. So does it make it a little more problematic in any way?
In a way, I think, but I think what Tom Mulcair and the NDP will be doing is talking about having a national housing strategy and working more closely with provinces and communities to ensure that Canadian citizens have adequate, safe housing, because, you know, currently, you know, housing is for those who can secure mortgages and, you know, have those kinds of financial security, but not all citizens have that.
Do you plan to support having over 1,000 supportive housing per year? Is that a possibility, do you think?
I'm sure it is.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to the other question, which is what kind of amendments would you be making if you were elected to the Omnibus Bill, C-51?
Well, Tom has said that once the NDP form the federal government, that it will be repealed. So that means that he would take it off the books, take it off the table, and work with Canadian citizens to implement those laws and policies that are there to protect Canadian citizens.
What can you do at a municipal level?
At a municipal level, I believe it's all about building awareness, making sure people understand some of the policies that, you know, are behind these bills, and just making sure that folks understand what we're repealing.
Okay, so you're a First Nations woman. You're like the project manager of Sacred Trust. What problems do you have with the Omnibus Bill?
Oh, are you talking about the 38 and 45? What Mulcair has said, and what I truly believe in, is reinstating all those, well, the Environmental Assessment Act, which Harper and his Conservatives have watered down, put back, strengthen up the Fisheries Act, and also go back and correct the damage that he's done through other kind of like environmental bills that are related for such huge projects that are putting our environment at risk and making them vulnerable.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Carleen. I have more questions for you, and some that are more specific to First Nations people.
Okay.
Will you support and want to see a missing and murdered women's inquiry?
Absolutely.
At a national level?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's incredible that a government can push aside or sweep under the carpet the fact that, there are 1,200 missing and murdered people. Take Indigenous women out of that and just say people. They're human beings. They have families, they have friends, they have communities that are impacted by this loss.
Since you brought it up, you talked about the importance of bringing up those issues at a community level on places like Access Television, community radio, so on and so forth. There's a petition that is circulating regarding the community television. Can you support that in any way?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We know how important it is for local issues to get some kind of media attention. More often than not, we get news that are more national, and we don't get to hear community leaders speak about what they would like to see or what they would like to work, how to find solutions for these issues that are in our own communities. I remember what I wanted to say with the Truth and Reconciliation. Sinclair and his commission had sent forward these 94 calls to action, and the missing and murdered Indigenous women was part of that. So implementing those calls to action will be also something I'll carry forward to Ottawa.
Well, good to hear. Where's your office and how do people contact you to support you?
Okay, our office is located at 2030 Marine Drive in North Vancouver. We are sharing our office with our brother riding, Larry Koopman, who's West Van Sunshine Coast.
Aloha.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Tsepka. Thanking all of you.
Hi, I'm Kanahus O'Sullivan, and we are at 3088 Cambie Street in Vancouver at Jody Wilson Raybould's campaign office. Jody Wilson is a strong local voice in the community and is a key member of Team Trudeau. She brings a passion for local issues and has a long track record and is extremely successful. She's been a 10-year regional chief of AFN and has also served as a BC Treaty Commissioner. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your position statement.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here and to chat about the upcoming federal election. As you said, my name is Jody Wilson Raybould, and I've been honored to be the Liberal candidate for this new riding of Vancouver Granville since July of 2014. I put my name forward in this federal election because I believe that our country has gone off track and we need to do something about it. I believe that the voices of the people in Vancouver Granville need to be heard in discussions about important issues like affordable housing, like transit, in terms of the economy and ensuring we can balance a growing and diversified economy with a sustainable approach to the environment. We have a lot of issues that are on the table for this federal election, and in the last 10 years under this current government, the voices, the diverse voices that exist not only in this riding but across the country are not being heard. And I believe substantially in the vision of Justin Trudeau, the concrete and well-balanced plan that the Liberal Party of Canada is putting forward to Canadians, and certainly recognize that we have a tremendously strong team right across the board that has expertise in lots of areas, and we're offering a fair plan to Canadians, and I believe that we're the only real choice for real change.
Well, First Nations people are very proud of your candidacy, and we're celebrating that from the bottom of our hearts. We want to know where you stand on Aboriginal issues.
Well, I feel the support. I'm incredibly proud to be a First Nations person, and I think the issues around Aboriginal people in this country is one of the biggest outstanding public policy issues that we need to address. The Liberal platform has been very substantive in terms of supporting a relationship with Aboriginal people in this country that's based on recognition, that looks to actually building in partnership on a nation-to-nation basis and creating the space for Aboriginal people to ultimately improve their lives. It involves ensuring that we have a Kelowna-like process and work jointly with Aboriginal peoples to close the gap. We are committing to investing substantial amount of dollars into First Nations education, ensuring that we can have safe drinking water in all of our communities right across the country, ensuring that we tackle the fundamental issues that are impacting Aboriginal communities in this country, while at the same time creating the space for respectful reconciliation that embraces the concept of nation building, what our communities are actually doing, Aboriginal communities are actually doing. It's a partnership that we're committed to sitting down with Aboriginal communities in this country to ensure that they're part of the economy, to ensure that they get the same services that all other Canadians enjoy, and that they can be the best that they can be and move forward.
One of the questions I asked the other candidates like Wes Regan, Jenny Kwan, and Edward Wong from the Liberal Party was whether or not they were willing to commit to 1,000 units of social housing per year in their riding. Where do you stand on that issue?
Well, I'm acknowledge the historic investment that a Liberal government will make in terms of infrastructure, in particular in terms of social infrastructure, which includes affordable housing. And a Liberal government would be committed to sitting down with the City of Vancouver, sitting down with the provincial governments to ensure that we develop a concrete national housing strategy that addresses the challenges that we have right across the housing spectrum, from rental facilities to ensuring that we renew the cooperative housing agreements, and to providing injections of operating dollars to municipalities to ensure that we have or propel Home First initiatives that provide housing for homeless people. We're committed to doing all of those things.
Awesome. Bill C-51. I mean, a lot of people are up in arms over it, so to speak. If you were elected, what is your stance on the bill, and will you make any changes?
Well, I acknowledge that Bill C-51 has created a lot of discussion, and necessarily so. What the Liberal Party and the position of Justin Trudeau has been is one of thoughtful balance, one that removes the politics of fear from substantive discussions around the need to balance security with individual rights and liberties. In terms of what we have said and what we will do is we we supported Bill C-51 for certain reasons for the protection and security of Canadians. But when we have the fortune of forming government, we will repeal those aspects of the bill that are egregious and ensure that there is put in place proper oversight and that there is reviews of the legislation as it moves forward to ensure that it's appropriate.
Okay, and what about our missing and murdered Indigenous women? Would you support the call for a national inquiry into the missing and murdered women of Canada?
Well, absolutely. Our party has been very clear in its support to call a national inquiry into murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. This is a national tragedy. This is something that when I was the regional chief of the BC Assembly of First Nations, working in partnership with all of our leaders in BC and across the country, is something that we've been calling for years. A Liberal government would, of course, call a national inquiry and get at the root causes of the problem and the challenge. It's completely unacceptable in a country like ours that we are facing these tragic circumstances.
I know that you are also not just First Nations candidate, that there's more to your platform than just Aboriginal issues. What else would you like to bring attention to as we close?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as I said, I'm very proud to be an Aboriginal person. Mm-hmm. I'm equally proud to be a Canadian. I got involved in mainstream politics or this federal election because I believe that our country is moving away from where it once was. This election to me is about who we are as Canadians, what values we hold to and hold close to ensure that we can create and continue to be a strong country that respects the equality of opportunity for everyone, that creates the space of a caring and compassionate country. That's what this election is about. This is what I ask people to think about. Which party actually embodies your vision for your country, whether you're Aboriginal or otherwise? How can we ensure that the voices of the people within this country, the diverse voices, are heard, are incorporated into the development of public policy in this country, so people can see themselves in the workings of their government, so we can together create a better government. That's what Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party is offering, and that's where I will commit my years of experience to ensure the issues of the people in Vancouver Granville are heard and that we move forward in a positive, inclusive, and equal way.
All right, thank you very much. Jody Wilson, Raybould, Vancouver Granville, the Liberal Party of Canada. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you.
Gail Kasla.
Gail Kasla.
So we're trying really hard to raise the issues, but I'm worried about the health of this election, and I hope that First Nations people, for the first time, who haven't voted, who think, well, this isn't my election, I vote for Chief and Council. Yeah. And I know that's been a traditional tension, really, to get rid of a bad government and bring in more cooperative, respectful government, to elect First Nations candidates. Like, we have fantastic candidates on Vancouver Island. Fran Hunt Janucci, Cowichan Malahat Langford, brave woman, really courageous. And Brenda Sayers from Hookachasset First Nation is running in North Island, Powell River. These are wonderful candidates. Jeannie Parnell is running north in Skeena-Bulkley Valley. We have other First Nations candidates across the country. But when I look at British Columbia and think, wow, it would change politics, it would change Parliament a lot.
This is Access Television Hot Topics, and I'm Kanahus O'Sullivan with Anushka Repair. Welcome back to the show,
Thank
Anushka.
you. Yeah, it's been over a year now.
It's been way too long, but you've been a busy lady. We'll hear more about that in a bit. Anushka,
Yeah, so I've been in Vancouver now for a little bit of time, and attending this rally was a really interesting and exciting experience. It's part of a multiple launch of judicial reviews regarding the Enbridge pipeline decision, and the chiefs that came out there had some fairly strong words, both for people considering the elections, as well as for people thinking about what Indigenous resistance and solidarity means. So today I brought my sister Kanahus here with me to talk a little bit about some of the resistance issues in her territory, and we had recently crashed a Stephen Harper event in Kamloops together, which was a little bit of fun, and had actually confronted a senator appointed by the Conservative government there. So if you want to tell us a little bit about what happened there and what are the issues happening in your territory.
Yeah, well, we rallied. We had a handful of Indigenous and Secwepemc Women Warrior Society there that crashed the Harper event. There was many issues that we discussed and why we were there, and it was like the murdered and missing Indigenous women, the pipeline infrastructure going through BC, the Mount Polley disaster, Imperial Metals, all the resource extraction that's happening in our province. And really our clear message is that our lands is unceded, unsurrendered territory. There is no treaties that have been signed in the majority part of British Columbia, and we are still battling with the unsettled Indigenous land question here in British Columbia.
Yeah, and it's a really serious question, I think, that that hasn't been appropriately answered in British Columbia and hasn't been appropriately answered at the federal level. So when we're talking about elections and we're talking about these kinds of things, I think that's a question that needs to be consistently asked because it's not being answered.
Yeah, that rally, I don't know if you were there, but I mean, there were a number of chiefs, like from Bob Chamberlain to Chief Nepinak, as well as even the Kanesatake Grand Chief, Simon. It was awesome. Thank you for joining us on Access Television.
The passage of paper from one person to the next, the four walls of the courtrooms, they can't contain the spirit and the power of the Indigenous people of these lands. Our strength comes from the land, and no matter how much concrete they pour in the downtown of Vancouver, it's not going to hide the strength and the spirit and the character of the nations of people who call this home and have called this home for thousands of years. So we can go into these courtrooms and we can engage in their processes, but the bottom line is that the consequences of whatever happens in court, they do not accrue to us at a spiritual level. We're strong no matter what.
I suggest you find out what kind of water you have in your city. If you're in Vancouver, you have very soft water, so you only need 1/4 of the detergent they suggest on the package. That means if you're using these pre-portioned pucks, that's good for 4 loads. So that's a bit of a waste of money, and it's hard on the dishes. I do like that they're individually wrapped so they stay fresh, because the detergents have moisture-activated ingredients. So we don't want it to activate in the box. So we'll get a nice small box like this, not some huge box. Then, because it's the powder, we can portion control and we can decide how much detergent we need.
Hello, this is Sherry Dougal. Welcome to my health segment on Access Television. Last time we talked about meditation, sound, and energy. Today we're going to talk about intuition and how we need to tap into our intuition in order to access all forms of creativity and healing. Welcome, Mandana. It's a pleasure to have you on set.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I'd like to start by asking you, what is intuition and how does it relate to the inner peace movement, which you are a part of?
Intuition is this vast pool of resources that we have inside us. It's like a flashlight. It's like a compass that will guide us on our life's path if we just learn to relax and trust it. And how it relates to the Inner Peace Movement is that Inner Peace Movement is a nonprofit educational program that was started in 1964 by Dr. Francisco Cole, and it was designed to help people trust themselves, trust their impressions, their intuition, create a connection, communication, two-way communication with their spiritual guides or angels. And to have better relationships with themselves, with their loved ones, and with everyone around them.
Now we hear the word intuition a lot. It's like very common in today's talk. But for the everyday person, it's very difficult to trust their intuition and to access it. So what are some ways that we can actually access our intuition in everyday life? Because it's not just a one-day thing. No. It's something that we need to exercise every day, every moment in our existence. So
it's pretty simple, actually. And we're going to be talking later about the lecture that's coming up on October 20th. And at that time, we'll go more into it. And then there's a second night program that it's a workshop where people learn the different ways that we access our intuition. But in the introductory program on October 20th, we'll be talking about the different avenues. So let's say you get, well, there are first of all 4 avenues. Intuition comes in 4 flavors.
Okay.
One way is through thoughts or words that you might get. So let's say you're typing something on the computer and all of a sudden the word pie comes into your mind.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my God, I've got the pie. I've got to take out the pie from the oven before it burns. That's clear hearing or clear audience. And another avenue is, another way is through pictures or symbols. So you might get a picture of pie. So it's the same thing, but it depends on what your predominant gift, psychic gift is. If it's vision, you might get these impressions through pictures or symbols. So that's clairvoyance or clear seeing. And there's clear cognizance or clear knowing, and that's just trusting what you get. There's no way that you can prove it. You just have an inner knowing.
I love the way you've categorized that. I think that's very important for the viewer to know, because all of us have different ways of accessing your intuition and learning. Some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more visual,
That's
auditory.
Right.
So I think the key is tapping into that dominant sense that is dominant for you.
And we have all 4, and the 4th one is the gift of feeling, or it's also the gift of healing that we all have. So we have all 4, but one is predominant. So it's just basically being open to it and trusting it. So have you ever had the impression, for example, let's say a glass of water was here,
yeah,
and your intuition told you, you better move that glass of water before you knock it. And you thought, you dismiss it for some reason, or you thought you're going to do it later. Guess what happens? The next second, you're going to knock it over. It's going to go all over your papers. And then you kick yourself for not having listened to that impression that you had. How often does that happen? And then also, how often does it happen that you follow through with your impressions and all kinds of doors open up?
But it can also go the other way when your intuition can go wrong. Why does that happen?
Oh, it's just people not trusting themselves. Yeah. Your intuition, your impressions won't, and your spiritual guides will never lead you astray. So it's just a matter of learning the language of what intuition is, how do you access it, and then practicing it so that you can see the benefit of it for yourself and see that it's really part of you. It's a natural part of us.
And it's an inner language, and it's very personal to each one of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, intuition is very important. So what is your dominant sense? I'm just curious.
Mine is feeling. So
Me too.
I have to
Me
trust
too,
my
actually.
gut feeling. So the people who have feeling as their dominant gift, have to trust that gut feeling. If you talk yourself out of it, if you go into your head, and then that's probably when you get into trouble.
Yes, it's all
Yeah.
about getting out of your head, getting into that meditative, intuitive state. Thank you so much, Mandana, for coming to the studio. It's
You're
been an
welcome.
absolute pleasure. We have an event on October 20th, Trust Your Intuition. And if you want to know more about it, you can check out our program, this episode, and also details will be posted on the Access website. Thank you so much.
Let's talk about rinse agents. Rinse agents go in the final rinse to help get a spot-free shine. Now, after that rinse, there's nothing else to wash away whatever chemicals we put in. So if we use these commercial brand rinse agents, what washes away those chemicals? Do they remain on our dishes? Are we eating them? Because I don't want to eat them. Also, they make foam. We don't want foam in a dishwasher. That's how leaks happen and floods. So why not use something that you already have in your house? Something that is cheaper, non-toxic, non-foaming, and something I would actually drink. You could use white vinegar or double-strength white vinegar, which is also called cleaning vinegar. It'll give you a nice spot-free shine, and It'll help reduce the surface tension of the water, so that way you get a nice dry dishes.
My name is Sid Tan, and welcome to Carnegie TV, a show about the people, places, news, and views of residents of the downtown east side and those that frequent the Carnegie Community Center and Oppenheimer Park. With us today is one of our favorite friends, Libby Davies, former Member of Parliament for Vancouver East and a great supporter of community media and community television. Welcome to the show, Libby.
Thank you, Sid.
We go back a long ways
We
through
sure do.
the head tax redress, and we actually have worked a lot on community media. I
Yep.
recall you coming on community television to talk about the closure of all the
Yep.
offices of the community television offices that Rogers used to run, and you were on one of those first news conferences, and I just want to say
I
thank you
remember
very
it like
much.
it was yesterday.
It was quite a bit of fun, and here we are now. We have a show with Carnegie TV. As you know, the Carnegie Community Center just got a New Horizons for Seniors program grant to create Carnegie TV. To my knowledge, I understand that this is the first community center in Vancouver. Hey, maybe the
In
first
Canada.
community center anywhere to
Yeah.
actually have a media television program, and we're going to be doing internet too. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think that's fabulous because I know how important community TV is and what it means to people. And so to have your own show and your own station and program at the Carnegie Center, I think it's just another way to engage and to work with people. So I think it's absolutely fabulous, and you may well be right. It's certainly the first in Vancouver, but it may well be the first across the country, Sid.
Well, we'll see, and you're going to be a part of that. You know, you have been a part of that, and we're so
Yep.
pleased with the kind of support you've given us even before you were a member of Parliament.
Yep.
Because you've been, and I'm just wondering, community media, community television, how important has that been to your work, first as an activist and organizer, and then as a member of Parliament?
Well, I think I've always understood the importance of the media and what it can do in terms of telling stories and getting a message out and making sure that people are heard. And I've particularly understood how important community access is. And so all those years when we had that community access, it was really important to the work that we were doing on the east side. And I never ever turned down an opportunity to go on a program or a show or to be interviewed, because I knew, first of all, it was supporting the community. It was community voices that were being heard, and often it was people who weren't otherwise being portrayed in the mainstream media. So it's been a very important medium to have over the years.
That's exactly what we're trying to do with Carnegie TV. We're going to try and take some of those seniors that have been and try and include them with media. Use media as an organizing tool to get people together, because media is where a lot of people come together. In fact, you're a medium, I'm a medium, together we're media. And that's the way that I see it. So community centers are a perfect place to grow media
and tell those
organizations.
stories. There are amazing stories to be told in the downtown east side, and you know, a lot of those folks are getting older, and so it's really important that we make sure that those stories are shared and the history that we have in the community.
Libby, we've got to get going now. Thank you very much for being here, and we hope that we can have you on Carnegie TV when we get rolling really good.
And in the meantime, the best of luck. I know it's going to be hugely successful. Thanks, Sid.
Thank you, Libby.
From VIFF to VAFF, Grace Chin, the director of the Vancouver Asian Film Festival, came to studio to speak with MTS Poppet, along with a couple of filmmakers, Brian Chung of Red Pockets and Jeremy Lee, executive producer of BeChisel.com. Here they are talking about micro-storytelling and putting culture into film.
The Vancouver International Film Festival is just wrapping up. The Vancouver Asian Film Festival is upon us. And I have with me today Festival Director Grace Chin and filmmakers Brian Chung and Jeremy Lee. Welcome to Access TV.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. The film festival opens November 5th at the International Village. Tell us what's up for this year's festival, Grace.
Thanks for having us on the show. I really appreciate it. This is year 19 for the Vancouver Asian Film Festival. It's the 19th year of celebrating diversity in film and the best in Asian diaspora filmmaking. We have 37 films this year, screening over 4 days. 2/3 of them are in English and the rest are subtitled. And about half of them are international films.
Right. Now you do things throughout the year as well, not just the festival, and you have a number of contests like short contests and so on. And Brian won one of the short contests. Tell us about that.
Yes, we have annual short filmmaking contests, and this year we, for the first time, we had the Red Packet Challenge, and it's a short filmmaking contest for basically digital filmmakers in the digital age. Most of the films were really short. The shortest films were 6 seconds, and the longest film was 3 minutes long. And Brian and his team, Life of Bri, they won the microfilm category. So that's like the 1 to 3 minute. 1 to 3 minutes in length, and they won first prize.
That's Red Pockets, and it's showing at this year's festival. Brian, tell us about your film.
Absolutely. So our film is actually called Red Pockets. It's a Chinese New Year rap video. So pretty much every year, Chinese youth get like little packets, red envelopes filled with money. So obviously we always are so excited to get that.
It's good luck, right?
Good luck money, and then we just make it rain. So we combine those two things, and we got a sweet song made by Jeremy Lim, a local Vancouver-based musician. And yeah, it was awesome.
Right. Now, Jeremy, you run a YouTube channel. Tell me about your YouTube channel.
Right. We have a Vancouver-based YouTube channel. We focus on comedy contents that's more for Asians. But we're filmmakers at heart, YouTubers in spirits. And we just want to make people laugh. So that's why we're doing this channel.
How long has this been going on for?
I would say around 2 years. But we started taking this channel a lot more serious the last year.
So it's picking up.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to try to do weekly releases now.
Right. So how do people find your YouTube channel?
We're not too big yet, but I mean, people do have really good feedback so far on some of the biggest projects that we've done. And we're looking forward to make people giggle a little more.
Yeah, and your film's on there as well?
Absolutely. It's on youtube.com/bchisel. And obviously you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. I'm just going to throw that in there. And of course, we've got a brand new video that just came out called Richmond's Worst Driver. So don't go and check it out. It's just, it's like a parody of Canada's Worst Driver.
Right.
But don't take it too seriously.
Right.
You know.
Now, Grace, the Vancouver Asian Film Festival is more North American Asian filmmakers. It's not films from China or India. Or can you talk more about the mandate of the festival?
Yes, that's correct. Most of our filmmakers are Asian North Americans, so that means they're either from Canada or from the United States. And really it's just to raise awareness of the perspective of Asian Canadians that is not always seen in mainstream media, and that is also the purpose of our short filmmaking contests as well, just to like foster these kinds of filmmakers so that we can tell our stories.
And look what you fostered.
Actually, you know, like when we first started out, we would always go do this Vancouver Asian Film Festival, Mighty Asian Movie Making Marathon, and we actually got 3rd place and then 1st place. This place, Grace actually organized it, and what we realized was that we would really look forward every year to compete in this contest. You know, but then we're like, why don't we just do this every week instead? So that's why we started our YouTube channel, Life of Bri, and we started doing stuff that was like, you know, micro storytelling based on real life. Like that's why it's called Life of Bri. It's like inspired by real life, like so.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming. I'm looking so forward to this year's festival. Starts November 5th at International Village.
It runs until November the 8th.
Yeah, and it's VAFF.org, right?
Yes, VAFF.org.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
That's it for this edition of Access TV. Next time we'll be talking about the fallout from the federal election, Molly.
Yes, we will, MTS. As well, along with our community production partner, Carnegie Television, we'll be covering the Heart of the City Festival and the SRO Tenant Convention. We'll also bring you a story of healing with music from Sherry Dougal. So thank you for your time and sharing it with Access TV on behalf of the crew. Thank you. And get in touch if you have a story to tell. I'm Molly Caron.
And I'm MTS Poppet. Until next time.
Now, if you find dishes in the sink, who knows? Maybe somebody did some dishes earlier by hand, and there could be some foam from the regular dish detergent in there. We don't want any of that. If I just wipe my finger on this bottle and wipe that on a rack, this dishwasher will foam up and make a big mess all over the floor, creating a flood. We don't want that. So if you come home to a sink full of dishes, you're going to run the tap before starting the dishwasher anyways, so why not empty the water out of the dish and run it into the tap to give it a quick rinse. Anything that's in the sink shouldn't be trusted. This quick little step will help prevent a flood in your home.